After I went blind, my arch-rival insisted on moving in with me. I assumed he just wanted a front-row seat to my misery. That is, until my sight suddenly returned, and I locked eyes with him, eyes thick with desire. He was clamping the hem of his shirt between his teeth, barely breathing, staring right at me while his hand went wild. Chapter 1. After the accident took my sight, I went back to the dorm to pack. I heard hushed whispers behind me. Talk about karma. Ethan finally can't keep up that aloof act anymore. What kind of campus heartthrob is blind? No girl is gonna want him now. Keep it down, he's still right there. I shook my head helplessly. I was blind, not deaf. Whatever. We wouldn't be roommates anymore anyway. I fumbled around packing my things, then used the wall to guide myself toward the door. Suddenly, something tripped me. I hit the floor hard, a sharp pain shooting through my knee. A gloating voice chimed in. Oops, my bad. Forgot you couldn't see. You okay? But I clearly heard the shutter click of a phone camera. He was taking pictures of my humiliation. I slowly pushed myself up, my expression cold. Delete it. I reached out toward the voice to grab the phone but grabbed nothing but air. He laughed even harder. Ha ha ha. Look at you, pathetic. Some heartthrob. You're just a blind, useless ugh. It was the dull thud of a fist hitting flesh. A familiar voice cut in. Idiot. I froze. What was Mason doing here? The sounds of a beating and my roommate begging for mercy lasted for a good 10 seconds. A moment later, someone grabbed my wrist. Mason sounded impatient. Stop spacing out. Let's go. Why are you here? He snatched my things from my hands, his tone stiff. I'm picking you up. You're living with me. I was confused. Why? Mason was supposed to hate me. He should want to stay as far away as possible. I want a front row seat to watch you make a fool of yourself. Got a problem with that? I nodded. That sounded about right. Mason rented a 2-bedroom apartment near campus. No elevator. Being blind, I took the stairs slowly. Mason supported me the whole way and, surprisingly, didn't rush me once. Once inside, he walked me through the layout. Take your time getting used to it. Yell if you need anything. Thanks. Mason immediately got defensive. Don't get the wrong idea. My mom found out what happened and forced me to take care of you. I'm not doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Okay. That night, I carried my wash basin to the bathroom. My hand slipped and the soap dropped. I slid down the wall and crouched, feeling around on the floor. I couldn't find it anywhere. In the darkness, that sense of helplessness washed over me again. I gave a self-deprecating smile. I was useless. A knock came at the bathroom door, followed by Mason's voice. You done yet? You're taking forever. I sighed, grabbed a towel to wrap around myself, and opened the door. Can you help me find the soap? I dropped it. 2 grown men in that narrow bathroom made for a tight squeeze. I could feel Mason standing very close. Found it. It's in the groove behind you. Just point me in the right direction. I'll get it. He let out a short, sudden laugh. Sure. Mason gripped my wrist and turned me around. I felt his breath brush against the back of my ear. Bend over. I followed his lead and bent down, my fingers brushing against the slippery soap in the corner. Thanks. He didn't let go. His palm was shockingly hot. Keeping me in that position, he leaned into my ear and whispered, Ethan, do you know what dropping the soap in a dorm means? A strange feeling rippled through me. What does it mean? His voice from above was low and husky. Nothing. Finish washing up. I'm leaving. I took a leave of absence from school. The counselor's voice was full of pity. Such a good kid. It's a shame he can't see. I stayed silent. I was actually getting used to it. I had gone from panic to numbness. In my world, eyes open or closed, it was all just black. The teacher asked, Is there any chance of recovery? I nodded, then shook my head. The doctor said there's a possibility my sight could return, but the odds aren't great. I have a checkup in a month. I heard the teacher sigh. That evening back at the apartment, Mason suddenly announced he was doing a deep clean and organizing my room. He told me to sit on the bed and stay put. It sounded like he was sweeping, but a second later, he said something that made my skin crawl. Ethan, there's a cockroach on your bed. My body went rigid, hands clutching the sheets tight. I was terrified of cockroaches. They were huge, and they had always freaked me out. I felt Mason lean in, his arms caging me in on both sides. Don't move. I'll handle it. His warm breath hit my ear, humid and hot. He was too close. I felt awkward, but I didn't dare move. Did you get it? Almost. A moment later, the heat in front of me pulled away. Killed it. But your sheets are dirty now. I fell silent. It was late. Even if I washed the sheets, they wouldn't dry in time. Mason's teasing drawl piped up again. Ethan, how about you beg me? Call me big brother, and maybe I'll let you crash with me tonight. Even blind, I could picture his punchable face perfectly. I was actually older than him, but since I was living under his roof, I had to swallow my pride. Big brother. A low chuckle came from above. That night, Mason made me take the inner side of the bed, claiming he didn't want me rolling off. His bed wasn't huge. It was a tight fit for two grown men. I tried to press myself against the wall, but an arm suddenly draped over my waist. I flinched. What are you? The bed's too small. Nowhere else to put my hand. Just lending your waist for a bit. I swallowed the rest of my words. It was his bed after all. As I drifted into a hazy sleep, the arm around my waist slowly tightened, and a warm body pressed against my back. A whisper barely touched my ear. Good night. Chapter 2. After sharing a bed for a night, the tension between Mason and me weirdly eased up a lot. It had been raining lately, so my sheets were taking forever to dry. I had no choice. I had to swallow my pride and keep calling Mason big brother for a few more days. Sometimes, when I woke up in the morning, I could hear Mason's suppressed breathing in the room. Concerned, I asked, Mason, are you okay? His voice was raspy. I'm fine, just working out. I secretly admired him. He was really disciplined. In my memory, Mason always had a great body. I even accidentally touched his abs once. A full 8-pack, the real deal. Last Christmas, Mason's mom felt bad that I was alone for the holidays and invited me over. I drank a bit too much and passed out cold. Mason carried me to his bed and started taking off his clothes in front of me to shower. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, exactly my type. Actually, I like guys. Even though Mason hated me, his looks were definitely my ideal. I was wasted at the time, so I just clung to him right there. I even felt him up, giggling dizzily. So solid. Mason had a huge reaction. His face turned bright red, and he snapped fiercely, Ethan, what are you doing? Let go. But I was out of it. Not only did I not let go, I buried my face right into him. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is that Mason didn't talk to me for a whole week, and every time he saw me, his face turned red as a beet. I wanted to apologize later, but I never found the right moment. Mason was dragging me out to get some sun when my phone suddenly rang. Ethan, if you don't go out, you're gonna grow mold. I don't want to sleep hugging a moldy person tonight. His tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. Helpless, I followed him and picked up the phone. Ethan, why didn't you tell me you went blind? Do you even have any respect for your father? My father's scolding voice came from the other end. Sorry, I forgot, I answered calmly. There was a long silence on the other end. Just when I thought he was still angry, a childish voice piped up, Daddy, the weather is so nice today. Let's go camping. Then came the whining voice of a young woman. Hubby, hurry up. Stop dragging your feet. My father's voice instantly turned gentle. I'll be right there. The picture of happiness coming through the phone was crystal clear, making me feel like a total outsider. I'll transfer you some more money. Hire a caretaker yourself. Don't come looking for me. Your stepmother and sister wouldn't like it. His voice turned cold again. No need. Before I could finish, the line went dead. Soon, my phone pinged with a notification. Your account ending in XXXX has received $10,000. I gripped the phone, staring into nothing. The sun felt warm on my skin, but it just reminded me of the hospital right after the car accident. Back then, the doctor asked, You need a family member to take care of you. Where is your family? I shook my head at the darkness. After Mom died, Dad remarried quickly. My new stepmom didn't like me. She always looked at me with disgust. To make her happy, Dad left me in the old house and moved out with her. He gave me a large sum of money and told me not to disturb their lives. My eyes started to sting. Suddenly, a hand gripped my wrist. We're here. The grass here is perfect for sunbathing. Mason's voice pulled me back to reality. Okay. My voice sounded a bit dry. He helped me lie down slowly, not saying a word about the phone call. His hand never left my wrist. Warmth spread from his touch through my whole body. I closed my eyes, soft grass beneath me, warm sunlight above. Since I went blind, everyone treated me like a burden and stayed far away. Only Mason was willing to get close. Even if he just wanted to laugh at me, that was fine. Mason had been weirdly nice to me lately. He dragged me along to eat and take walks, voluntarily acting as my guide. When I asked why, he'd just say, I don't have any friends. I'm letting you live here, so can't you keep me company for a bit? He sounded almost aggrieved when he said it. I didn't get what a blind guy who could barely walk could do to keep him company. but Mason never seemed to get tired of it. My sheets had dried ages ago, but Mason wouldn't let me leave. He hugged me shamelessly, claiming, "I got used to holding something. I can't sleep without a body pillow now." I thought about it for a long time before finally speaking up. "Mason, I know you've always hated me. You don't have to force yourself just because you pity me. I might be blind, but I can take care of myself." In my memories, Mason always looked at me with hostility. That proud boy would always say indignantly after every exam, "Ethan, I'll definitely beat you next time." Being this nice to me now, it probably really was just pity. Mason didn't answer for a long time. Mason? I couldn't see his expression, so I reached out to slowly trace his face. His eyebrows, the high bridge of his nose, and his tightly pursed lips. He seemed angry. I dropped my hand, my tone softening. "I didn't mean anything by that. I don't pity you," he said, his voice muffled. "Then why are you being so good to me?" He went silent again. I tried my old trick, but the moment I touched his lips, he sucked my finger into his mouth. A tingling sensation shot from my fingertips through my entire body. "Ask again and I'll bite you. Go to sleep," Mason mumbled indistinctly. My heart skipped a beat, and I yanked my hand back. Chapter 3. Since we started sharing a bed, Mason had been incredibly diligent about his morning workouts. More than once, I'd heard his suppressed heavy breathing. I asked out of curiosity, "How much weight are you lifting? Can I give it a try?" For Mason to make sounds like that, it had to be heavy. Too bad he was so possessive over it. He never let me touch it. One day, he took me for a walk around campus. We passed the auditorium where the Challenge Cup finals were taking place. Hearing the noise inside, I slowed my pace. "Want to go in and take a look?" Mason asked. I nodded. "Sure." We sat in the back row, but we still caused a bit of a stir. The whispers were quiet, yet they drifted into my ears with abnormal clarity. "Look, it's Ethan and Mason. They're so hot." If Ethan hadn't gone blind, he'd definitely be in the finals right now. I heard he prepped with the team for 6 months. But when his eyes went bad right before the finals, the captain kicked him out. Said they didn't need dead weight. Then immediately pulled his own girlfriend onto the project to steal the credit. That's so messed up. Mason's grip on my wrist tightened, his palms scorching hot. I could feel the veins bulging on his arm, so I patted him gently. "It's in the past." Originally, the captain had scouted me. "Ethan, you're a wizard with data processing. Want to join us?" For this competition, I turned down a great internship and pulled several all-nighters. I did most of the data work myself. In the end, he was the one who kicked me out. "Ethan, you're blind anyway. Winning won't do you any good. My girlfriend needs this for her grad school application." No matter how unwilling or angry I felt, it was all over now. The next day, Mason left early and didn't come back all day. In the middle of the night, I felt a heat source approach me from behind. "Mason?" I asked groggily. "Yeah." He slipped a bracelet onto my wrist. "I went to the temple to pray for this for you." I fingered the beads carefully, finding it a little funny. The guy who never believed in religion actually went to a temple to pray for something for me. It must have been for my eyes. Mason hugged my waist again, gritting his teeth as he spoke. "About the Challenge Cup, I went to the organizers today. I'm gonna get you justice. They bullied you. You might be able to tolerate it, but I can't." I had actually let it go a long time ago, but a warm feeling still surged in my chest. After a long while, I finally said, "Thank you." Mason buried his face in my back without a word, holding me even tighter. About a month later, the doctor asked me to come in for a checkup. Mason had class that day, so I didn't ask him to come. I went to the hospital alone. I walked slowly along the tactile paving with my cane. I stumbled over things occasionally, bumping my way along, but luckily I didn't fall. After the exam, the doctor told me happily, "Your eyes are slowly improving. Once the blood clot disperses a bit more, you'll be able to see." My eyes went wide, and I subconsciously touched the bracelet on my wrist. It was still dark in front of me, but there seemed to be a glimmer of light. When I got back to the apartment, I didn't tell Mason the news. I wanted to surprise him. One morning, I opened my eyes. Faint light slowly filtered in, and the world gradually sharpened into focus. I could actually see. Excited, I turned my head to tell Mason the good news, only to meet his gaze filled with raw desire. I had never seen Mason like this. He was biting down hard on the corner of his shirt. The rims of his beautiful eyes were red. His moist gaze locked straight onto me, and the hand that usually held my wrist was currently. I jerked my gaze away, my face instantly burning hot. Remembering something, I spoke up, my voice raspy. Are you pumping iron again? Yeah. His voice was low, hoarse, and strained. My Adam's apple bobbed. Listening to the movement next to me, my ears turned bright red. That wasn't pumping iron. That was clearly, I couldn't take it anymore. I prepared to confess. Mason, actually, I can. In my peripheral vision, I saw Mason react to his name. His body jerked violently. A satisfied sigh escaped his throat, and he stared at me with intense, deep eyes. I buried my face in my hands, forcing the words, "See you," back down my throat. Damn it. I couldn't say it. There was no way I could say it now. Mason pulled out a few tissues and methodically wiped his fingers. That burning gaze still lingered on me. I gripped the sheets tight, trying my hardest to control my expression and my body's reaction. When did Mason start thinking about me like that? Chapter 4. I had no idea how to handle the situation. Out of options, I decided to keep up the act and wait for the right moment to come clean. But that moment just never seemed to arrive. Mason, relying on the fact that I couldn't see, was practically doing whatever he wanted. No matter what I did, he stuck to me like glue. If I was brushing my teeth, he'd stand right next to me, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The emotion in his eyes was so thick it wouldn't dissolve. His gaze so intense it made my ears burn. When we ate, he sat right next to me, watching me chew while piling food into my bowl. He claimed he was throwing away my leftovers, but they all ended up in his stomach. Especially when he took the chopsticks I had used, his eyes would darken, fixated on my lips. Before he slowly kissed the tips where my mouth had been, my throat bobbed. What a pervert. Or when I was washing my hands, he'd trap me against the sink. Ethan, don't move. There's a cockroach on the sink. Startled, I froze instantly, but the sink was spotless. There was absolutely nothing there. In the mirror, Mason looked delighted. The corners of his lips curved up as he pressed closer, bit by bit. His solid chest pressed against my back, the posture intimate, almost like he was holding me in his arms. He rested his chin on my shoulder. My heart raced. After a long pause, he finally said, "Took care of it." But the person in the mirror was still mouthing something silently. His lips formed the words, "So good." His hot, humid breath sprayed against my ear. It burned so much I wanted to run. Mason realized he'd gone too far and stopped immediately, asking with fake concern, "You okay?" Face flushed, I muttered something about the food, but my mind snapped back to the day I arrived. Mason had said there was a cockroach then, too. Was there really one? Mason led me to the bed, saying he was going to do laundry. I was just about to confess that my eyesight was back and I could wash my own clothes, when I saw him pick up the pajamas I had just taken off. He buried his face in them and inhaled deeply. All this time, whenever he took my dirty clothes to wash, I thought he was just being considerate because I couldn't see to use the washing machine. Turns out he had ulterior motives the whole time. Mason rubbed his face against the fabric, his eyes staring straight at me, full of aggression. He slid the pajamas from his face down to his neck, then to his lower abdomen. My face exploded with heat. "Pervert. Why is your face so red?" he asked, his voice low and raspy. I looked away, swallowing nervously. "Nothing." His voice came again. "Why do I feel like your eyes look brighter than before?" I stiffened, burying my face in my arms like a turtle retreating into its shell. "You're imagining things. Mason used to hate me. Why was he acting like this now? We were neighbors, compared by our parents since we were kids. My grades were always better and he hated it. Ethan, just you wait. I'll beat you on the next exam for sure," he'd always say. What really seemed to set him off was our senior year of high school. A girl rumored to be involved with him confessed to me. His expression back then was terrifyingly cold. After the college entrance exams, I specifically chose a university in the South to get away from him. I didn't expect him to get into the same school by coincidence. Now, my feelings were complicated. The person I thought hated me seemed to like me, and it was a slightly perverted kind of like. Once Mason calmed down a bit, I tested the waters. "Mason, didn't you used to really hate me?" He answered without looking up, which made me relax a little. "Yeah, I hated you. My mom always compared my grades to yours. You were too good, and I couldn't beat you, so I hated you. Now that we're at the same university, I hate you even more." But a second later, he held his phone up to my face. The text he had just typed read, "Actually, hate is just another form of love. Ethan, I will hate you forever." My heart skipped a beat, that indescribable feeling again. I pretended not to see it and continued, "Do you remember senior year? There was a girl rumored to be with you. Later, she confessed to me, and you seemed really angry." I remembered that after that incident, Mason stopped talking to me completely, and his glares got even colder. Mason replied casually, Yeah, because I liked that girl. But immediately, the phone was back in my face. Because I was jealous. I hadn't even had the chance to confess to you yet. Why did she get to beat me to it? And everyone in class said you said yes. Why did you say yes? Why couldn't you just look at me? My eyes flickered. The classmates were talking nonsense. I never said yes. After that, no matter what I asked, Mason would give one answer out loud while typing a completely different one on his phone for me to read. Assuming I couldn't see, he deliberately waved the screen right in front of my eyes. Like Ethan. Want to hold you in my arms. Want to kiss your mouth. Want to touch, want to lick, want to... The words got more and more explicit. I practically fled into the bathroom, my heart pounding out of control. He was insane. Chapter 5. Night finally came and we were lying in the same bed. I was debating whether to come clean when he started pranking me again. Ethan, there's a cockroach behind you. I didn't buy it this time. I didn't even flinch, just turned my head to look. To my surprise, I actually saw a blurry shadow moving. Freaked out, I immediately burrowed into Mason's arms. He held me tight, our bodies pressed flush against each other. Mason's lips brushed the shell of my ear, almost like a kiss, his warm breath tickling my skin. Ethan, you can see now, can't you? It wasn't a question. It was a statement. In the dark, my body went rigid. I didn't deny it. How much did you see? There was no awkwardness in his voice about being caught, only a hint of anticipation. I stammered. Not much. He nuzzled the crook of my neck, his voice low and thick as he shamelessly asked, Ethan, do I look good when I work out? I couldn't help myself. I tried to push him away. Pervert. But he caught my wrist in a grip that burned. He guided my hand under the hem of his shirt, pressing it flat against his abs. The muscle beneath my palm was warm and solid. He continued to tempt me with that deep, husky voice. Ethan, don't you really like me? Remember Christmas at my place? Hugging me wasn't enough. You buried your face right in there. Your face was so soft. You were rubbing against me. His words made me blush all the way down to my neck. I followed the sound of his voice, found his mouth, and clamped my hand over it to shut him up. Shut up. But then I felt something wet against my palm. Mason gripped my wrist and extended his tongue, licking and kissing my palm inch by inch. His other hand guided mine, moving it slowly from his abs up to his pecs, then lower, as if he were putting himself on display. I had to admit this was exactly what I liked. His voice came muffled through my fingers. Ethan, if you hate it, just hit me. I was so turned on I was dizzy. Finally, feeling like I was about to lose control, I kicked him hard. Mason grunted from the impact but refused to let go. His voice trembled, the corners of his eyes turning red as he stared at me. Ethan, that felt good. Do it again. Damn it. How had I never realized Mason was this twisted? I gritted my teeth and cursed. Get away from me. I refused to let Mason hold me for the rest of the night. In the morning, he apologized cautiously, but I ignored him. I wasn't angry exactly. I just didn't know how to face the reality. The arch-rival I thought hated me was actually a pervert who had been obsessed with me all along. The worst part was, I wasn't repulsed. Mason's boundary-crossing moves last night had made me feel ashamed, nervous, and restless but not hateful. If Mason was a pervert, what did that make me for going along with it? But I didn't expect Mason to pull out all the stops just to coax me. The arrogant Mason, always tougher than nails, actually knelt before me. He leaned down, pleasuring me in the softest way possible. I gripped his hair tight, barely able to stifle my voice. He pulled a tissue, laughing softly. Ethan, I'm happy if you're happy. He went to the bathroom, and soon the sound of running water followed. Took me a long time to compose myself. Once I was dressed, I slipped out while Mason was still in the shower. I kept telling myself the whole way, I was just going to the counselor to cancel my leave. I was absolutely not running away. The counselor was thrilled to see my eyes had healed. As for the classes I missed, he helped me apply to make up the credits with the lowerclassmen. Everything was settled. Walking out of the office, the sun felt warm on my skin. I looked up and, for some reason, thought of Mason. In those days of darkness, he had been like this sun, pulling me out of the abyss. On the way back to the apartment, I decided to go back and talk things out with him. But halfway there, the captain of the Challenge Cup team cornered me in a small alley. His eyes were bloodshot. He dropped to his knees with a thud. Ethan, can you talk to the teacher for me? Please. Ask them not to cancel my project grade. I instinctively took a step back. Mason had told me that after he reported the situation, the captain and his girlfriend were disqualified for academic misconduct, and their scores were voided. I just didn't expect him to come begging me today. Seeing him so pathetic, I suddenly remembered when he kicked me off the team after I went blind. I had begged him in the darkness. I worked on all that early data. It's my hard work. You can't just kick me out like this. What had he said back then? His tone was dripping with disgust. Ethan, you're blind now. What can a cripple bring to the team? You're just a burden. If you really care about the team, you'll quit. Now our positions were reversed. Desperate and groveling, he pleaded, Ethan, can you talk to them? Get my grade reinstated? Please, this score is important. I need it to apply to universities abroad. I kept my face cold. Sorry, I can't do that. I tried to step around him to leave, but he grabbed my pant leg. Are you still mad at me? Ethan, I know I was wrong. Look, hit me if you want. Hit me. He started slapping his own face, his expression twisting. I stepped back warily, frowning. The guy was mentally unstable. I secretly reached for my phone, trying to contact Mason. Seeing that his tantrum wasn't working, his face went completely dark. He stood up, pulled out a knife, and stared at me with a look of pure, hateful jealousy. He threatened, Ethan, you think you're so special now that you can see? If you don't help me, I have plenty of ways to make you blind again. Before I could react, he raised the knife and slashed viciously at my eyes. I dodged to the side, and the knife missed. But looking like a savage maniac, he lunged at me again. As we grappled, the blade came perilously close to my eyes again. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for the pain, but it never came. Mason had gripped the guy's wrist in a deathlock. His eyes were scarlet, his voice trembling with rage. What the fuck are you doing? Mason pinned him to the ground, twisting his wrist back violently. The guy screamed, and the knife clattered to the floor. My face was pale, my fists clenched tight. Mason raised his fist and rained punches down on him. How dare you? He just got his sight back. How dare you? Pinned underneath, the guy glared up at Mason viciously. Why should my score be cancelled while Ethan gets his sight back? He should be blind forever. That sentence snapped Mason's last thread of control. Shut up. Mason's eyes were red, his fists falling like rain. Soon, the guy stopped shouting and was reduced to crying and begging for mercy. If he kept going, he was going to kill him. I stepped forward and pulled Mason back. Mason, calm down. He was gasping for air. He let go of the bruised and bloody mess on the ground and delivered a few more vicious kicks. Then he wrapped me in a hug, his voice trembling. It was so close. You almost couldn't see again. I felt something wet trickle onto my neck. I rubbed the back of his head soothingly. Mason, don't cry. I'm right here. I'm okay. Chapter 6. We ended up calling the cops. Based on the surveillance footage, that lunatic was detained, and Mason's actions were ruled as self-defense. Back at the dorm, Mason inspected my eyes with painstaking care, asking me at least 10 times if I felt uncomfortable or wanted to go to the hospital. Annoyed by the interrogation, I just kissed him, effectively shutting up his chattering mouth. Mason froze and stopped talking. Finally, some peace. My cheeks were burning. I took a step back, feigning nonchalance, and grabbed my things to go take a shower. Suddenly, an arm tightened around my waist, and Mason pulled me into his arms. His handsome face pressed down directly onto mine. He kissed me deeply, his large hand caressing the hem of my shirt before slipping underneath. Before I knew it, Mason had guided me to the bed, his voice husky. Ethan, weren't you curious about what barbell I was using for my morning workouts? Let me show you now. As he spoke, he stripped off his clothes right in front of me. Realizing what he meant, I blushed and cursed. You pervert. He just licked my earlobe. I can be even more of a pervert. Want to try? Ethan, do you like this barbell of mine? Ethan, can I call you baby? Your voice sounds so good. Baby, your eyes are too beautiful. Every time you just look at me, I couldn't take it anymore and backhanded him with a slap. Can you just shut up? He kissed my hand, his voice sounding even more excited than before. His tone was actually trembling. Baby, hit me again. Fuck. Eventually, he carried me into the bathroom. It was a narrow space for 2 grown men, cramped and filled with steamy, hot air. I was using the body wash when I accidentally knocked over the soap nearby. Just as I bent down to pick it up, that scorching body heat pressed against my back again. Baby, do you know what dropping the soap in a boys' dorm means? The next second, my waist was pinned down by a pair of large hands. I finally understood completely. Holding onto the wall, my legs were so weak I could barely stand. Mason's hot breath was right at my ear. I like you so much. Baby, from now on, you can only drop the soap for me. In the blink of an eye, it was the Lunar New Year again. This time, Mason took me straight to his house. I was a little nervous, afraid his parents might figure us out. Maybe we shouldn't? He kissed me. Don't be scared. My parents are our #1 fans. You'll see when we get there. Before heading to Mason's, I bought 2 huge bags of gifts. They were all for his parents, but I kept feeling like it wasn't enough and wanted to buy more. Mason stopped me several times. That's enough, seriously. If you buy any more, they won't fit in the house. Seeing that he couldn't stop me, he simply snatched my phone away. He pinned me to the sofa and silenced me with a kiss. By the time he was done, I had turned into mush and lost all interest in shopping. Before entering his house, I gripped the bags and took a deep breath. The door opened, and his mom greeted me enthusiastically. She looked at Mason, unable to hide the grin on her face. "Oh, it's Ethan, right? Come in, come in." His dad looked at me with a welcoming smile. Out of my line of sight, he gave Mason a thumbs up. The meaning was clear: good job, kid. You finally caught him and brought him home. They had prepared a huge table of food, and half of the dishes were my favorites. "Ethan, make yourself at home. Don't be polite." "Thank you, Auntie." Red lanterns hung on the walls, and the dinner table was full of laughter and chatter. On the TV, bullet comments for the countdown kept scrolling as we clinked glasses. I got drunk again. After dinner, his parents insisted on stuffing red envelopes into my hands. Just as I was trying to decline, Mason dragged me and the envelopes back to his room. He dumped me on the bed and started taking off his clothes. I watched him, a bit dazed. My phone rang and I picked it up. My dad's cold voice came through the line. "I transferred you some money. Don't bother coming over to our place this year." He hung up before I could even reply. If this were the past, I would have been crushed. But today, maybe because of the alcohol, I didn't feel a thing. Instead, I just giggled at the ceiling. "Fine, I won't go. I'm spending New Year's at home this year." Mason rubbed his abs against me. "Do you like it?" I buried my face into him. "I love it." Chapter 7. That night, Mason held me as I slept. I had a dream. I dreamed of the summer after our college entrance exam scores were released. Mason suddenly knocked on my door. He stood there, hands shoved in his pockets, looking a bit awkward. "Ethan, which university did you apply to?" I was a bit confused. "Why do you ask?" The tips of his ears turned red, but he snapped at me fiercely. "I don't want to see you. Can't I just avoid you?" I nodded. That made sense. I told him the name of the school and added a reassurance. "Don't worry. The university I picked is far away. We probably won't ever see each other again." Mason froze for a long moment before gritting his teeth. Good. A while passed, but he didn't leave. I looked at him, puzzled. He lowered his head, hiding his expression, and asked, "Why are you going to a college so far away?" I thought about it. "Because there's nothing here worth staying for." Mason's body went rigid. He spun around abruptly. His tone was harsh, but there was a tremor in it. "Good. Keep it that way." Yet, when I arrived at college for freshman orientation, I saw that familiar face again. Upperclasswomen nearby were whispering excitedly, "There are so many hot guys in this freshman class. Volunteering for orientation was totally worth it. Look, that fierce-looking hot guy keeps staring at this hot guy. Do they know each other? Ooh. My intuition tells me there's something going on there." After registering, I tried to leave, but Mason blocked my path. He spoke first, acting like the victim to cover his tracks. "Stuck at the same university as you again? Just my luck." I was stunned. "How are you here?" He stared at my face, his expression odd, as if he were suppressing something. "Don't get the wrong idea. I just liked the major here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come." I thought for a moment and offered some comfort. "It's a good place." He looked at me and let out a humph, as if tacitly agreeing with me. Then he turned and walked away, hands in his pockets, swaggering off. I stared at his retreating back. After a while, I turned and walked toward my dorm, in the complete opposite direction of his. Our figures drifted further and further apart. But out of my sight, the corners of Mason's lips tilted up slightly as he whispered my name. "Ethan, Ethan." If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.